Hey there, Annie here, racial equity coach and consultant for online business owners. Today's lesson is about the danger of diversity without intentional inclusion. A lot of times I see with my clients and within our coaching space, our online coaching industry, people who often say, I really inclusive because I am serving people of color. I'm beginning to attract them. There's so much diversity within the group programs that I have and with the clients that I have on a one-to-one basis. And the danger with thinking that because you have diversity, you are inclusive locks you out from continuing to learn about inclusion. It puts you in a position where you feel like when things are being shared about how to be more racially inclusive, things to do with how to have a more racially equitable business, you think it's not talking to you because you already are serving people from, diverse backgrounds. And whilst that is great and it's a good thing to do, and it's something that I advocate for and teach and coach my clients to do, there's a danger in looking at diversity as the be all of inclusion, because if you just have diversity and you do not have inclusion, then it is not a complete picture, because you can have diversity heaven but inclusion hell. And that is a TED talk that was done by a good friend of mine called Fudzy one day, where she talks about the dangers of just having diversity but no inclusion. And that's what I want us to focus on today as we talk about within the coaching industry. What might look like is an inclusive space may not necessarily be inclusive because the person who is hosting the group, the coach who is running that program, doesn't think that they need to do any racial equity work or any work on inclusion because they are already attracting clients who come from diverse backgrounds. And that is a very dangerous way of looking at this work when you hear messages about how to be more inclusive and you're like, that's not for me because I'm already an inclusive person. Look, I'm a good person. I am already supporting people of color in my group program. So, this messaging is not for me. And what I want to share with you today is what this is potentially, how this is potentially harming your business and what you can do to step up your game when it comes to inclusion. So this is potentially harming you in the fact that you are locking yourself or closing yourself away from educating yourself when it comes to matters of racial equity. When you hear about ways in which you could improve your business, you're like, that's not for me. I'm working with people of color. What often happens, and being somebody who holds space for Black, Brown, Indigenous, and people of color in coaching containers where they say, yes, I've got a white coach, but I can't bring that up with them, Annie, because they just wouldn't get it. They just wouldn't understand it. So whilst the group is very diverse, the principles of inclusion do not really exist because the people of color don't feel comfortable or safe enough to speak up. They feel that even though they want to bring it up, this is not something that the host would potentially understand. And that is why it is so important to always be in that learner's mindset, to be in that mindset of, I'm the student here. When it comes to matters of racial equity, it's a continuous journey. It's not, I did that course, I read that book, I watched that documentary, and now I kind of have an understanding of what this work is. It's so much more than that. This work is lifelong. And so now I want to share with you 3 things that you can do to be in continuous inclusion, to be intentionally inclusive as somebody who is a space holder who potentially has that diversity in your groups, but not necessarily knowing that you're not being inclusive. So firstly is, and you've heard me say this before, but I will continue to say it, keep educating yourself. whatever you're reading, whatever you're watching, whatever programs that you are investing in, continue to take on those, because the more you are involved in them, the more you read, the more you study, the more your information grows, the more you are educated, the more you are able to hold better space, more intentional space that is inclusive, in order for you to support the people in your groups in a more fulfilling way, in a way that will see them go and achieve the things that they were hoping to achieve within your space, because they have felt so seen and so held. Secondly, take the time to examine your own practices in your business. And this works well when you engage a DEI consultant to come in and provide that extra eye in your business, that lens of inclusion, to see what's missing here when it comes to your marketing, your offers, when it comes to how you're essentially operating the business. How could you do it in a more inclusive way? And then thirdly is actively work to create a more inclusive environment for your clients. And this may involve providing DEI training. Where can you invite somebody to come in and provide that masterclass whereby you yourself are a student amongst your students or your clients, where you're learning together? And this is such a powerful act of allyship, because you're not only the expert providing the information, but you're now taking that position of being in that learning environment together with your clients. And what I've seen that do is build greater bonds within group coaching programs, but also allow the clients, your clients who are in that program, to begin to practice inclusion as well. So they may have come into your program to perhaps improve, learn business skills, grow their business, but they're not only learning how to grow their business, but they're learning about matters to do with racial equity and how to be more inclusive, and how that in itself impacts their bottom line. The other thing to look at is the material that you're providing for your clients within your group program, or even your one-to-one service. The resources, are they from diverse, is it from a diverse pool of people, or is it from one group of people? Are they learning from people from different backgrounds, or is it just a one narrative that's coming at them, and in so doing reinforcing the stereotypes that they have formed about certain groups of people, or just the dominant narrative that keeps on being played, and that restricting them from having a more inclusive lens. And then lastly, what I'll say is thinking about collaborating and partnering with racial equity coaches, so that you can provide a really amazing experience for your group program or for your one-to-one clients, where you can bring them all together, but having that partnership, having that kind of collaboration that allows you to tap into more people. And you've heard me say this before, that when it comes to the people of the global majority, these are people of color. And if you're not attracting and supporting people of color, essentially it is affecting your bottom line.